What happens when everyone wants a piece of anime, but nobody wants to wait for it? From hype to heartbreak, the anime world is on the verge of anime burnout. From endless streaming platforms to a flood of mid-tier releases, anime's golden era might just be showing some cracks. And I'm not here to gatekeep anime, but there is something to be said about the effect of more fans on the anime industry itself. From oversaturation to corporate licensing wars and impossible fan expectations, the anime industry is slowly being strangled. So let's talk about what this means for the future of anime from the context of somebody who's been watching anime for far too long.
It's been 84 years.
To begin, there seems to be an almost direct correlation between the rise in demand and the fall of overall quality in anime. As more studios try to pump out content to meet the overall global hype, cracks inevitably start to show, whether that be in its storytelling, its pacing, or its actual animation itself. To really understand how this oversaturation is affecting the medium, let's look at two examples. One, a newer show trying to make its mark, and two, an insanely popular, well-established series trying to maintain its standard.
Tell me!
I've praised the Elusive Samurai for being one of the most beautifully animated shows I've seen in a long time. But I've also called it out for being one of the most horribly animated animes I've seen in a long time. Honestly, it's a visual roller coaster. This show delivers intense, vibrant color palettes, disturbingly expressive character expressions like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Golden Kamuy, and genuinely breathtaking scenery. But in the same breath, it's also plagued by jarring CGI that completely pulls you out of the moment. And this contrast isn't a stylistic choice, it's a symptom.
Disgusting!
With the rise in demand for anime has come a parallel rise in demand on the animators themselves. Studios are overworked, production deadlines are tighter than ever because we as fans demand that new seasons come out sooner and sooner, and as a result, CGI is being used as a shortcut more and more often. And while we'll dive into CGI as a whole later, what's happening here is part of a much larger issue, oversaturation, and how that's breaking anime. Studios are churning out more and more content than they can handle, and even the most talented teams are stretched thin, leading to the decrease in the overall quality of an individual anime in place of it just getting released. And if you thought the issue of overconsumption and the decline of anime quality was only for newer anime, well, you've got another thing coming.
I did not see this coming.
If you're not new to this channel, then it's absolutely no surprise that I've been a longtime fan of one of the greatest anime ever, Haikyuu. And let me preface by saying this anime was never ever about over-the-top animation. It's simple, grounded, and perfectly fits its style of storytelling. The first season aired back in 2014, and with its long run of success, you'd expect the animation quality to naturally evolve and become more refined, maybe even better, one might say. But why is it that 6 years later, one of the most popular sports anime in the world is all of a sudden filled with horribly drawn scenes, horribly drawn characters and frames? And yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, I can sum it up in one word: overconsumption. With the explosion of global demand for anime, even beloved series like Haikyuu aren't safe. To the Top suffered from a shift in animation direction, tighter production schedules, especially during the pandemic, and stretched studio resources. And while some of the style changes were in fact purposeful and I did really like because it was an updated modern version, the reality is that Haikyuu became another casualty of an industry sprinting to meet demand.
Shame.
When studios are forced to pump out content faster and juggle multiple projects at once, consistency breaks down, even in shows with massive fan bases and strong legacies. But it's not just studios and animators feeling the pressure. Fans are burning out too. I feel like hundreds of shows dropping every anime season. Too many titles mean fewer lasting impressions, more mid-quality anime, and genuinely good shows getting lost under the radar. That's why I love highlighting underrated series here on this channel, and why I've also talked about my personal experience in the last few years with anime burnout due to the oversaturation of anime that are coming out. But oversaturation and quality decline is only a very small part of the larger problem. If you've ever been excited for a new anime to release, only to find out it's not available in your country, or worse, not coming out until months later,
But I want it now!
then you've already felt the frustration of licensing and release chaos. As anime's global popularity explodes, every major streaming platform, I'm talking Netflix, Disney+, Crunchyroll, HiDive, Amazon, want an exclusive slice of the anime pie. But instead of making anime more accessible in other countries, it's having the opposite effect. Shows are getting locked behind region restrictions, delayed without warning, or dumped all at once with absolutely no time at all to build up momentum and hype.
You vicious bastards!
And if a series lands on the wrong platform, well, it might as well not exist to foreign audiences. What we're seeing now feels less like a golden era and more like an anime version of the cable wars. It's fragmented, expensive, and increasingly hostile to fans. And the result? Incredible anime are slipping through the cracks, not because they're bad, but because no one can even watch them. So let's talk about how corporate hoarding, greed, and staggered release schedules are quietly killing an anime before you even have the chance to watch them. Take the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, for example. One of the most anticipated romance animes of the year. I mean, my Discord could not stop talking about it. Fans were ready. Trailers were circulating. The hype was building, and then radio silence. Out of nowhere, it was quietly revealed that the series wouldn't be available for most of the world until September. No official announcement as far as I'm aware, because I found this out by just going onto Netflix to watch the first episode and finding out it didn't come out. This said July. Okay, there was no warning, just a sudden disappearance from the conversation. And the culprit? Netflix.
Those motherfuckers!
By snatching up exclusive rights and delaying the international release, Netflix effectively has stalled all of the momentum and hype. This is the perfect example of how licensing and release chaos can completely derail a show before it even has the chance. Fragrant Flower Blooms had everything going for it. Hype, visual appeal, a heartfelt story, and emotional resonance. But now it risks fading into obscurity simply because fans can't legally access it. It's a very frustrating and very real consequence of anime's over-commercialization. When every platform wants a slice, no one can have the whole pie, which is why I think when we were limited to platforms just like Funimation, Crunchyroll, and then watching it on cable TV, we didn't really experience the same issue. And in the process of us having this shift of everybody wanting anime on their platform due to the ka-ching it brings, shows like this one suffer. Not because of quality, but because of corporate strategy. And this is one of the clearest symptoms of the decline in anime's so-called golden era.
Whoa, this is heavy.
Now, let's look at the next example, one that shows what could potentially happen to the Fragrant Flower Blooms, and that is summertime rendering. And yes, I know I've talked about it before on this channel, but this is a different context, okay? This show had everything working in its favor. Stellar animation, an intriguing mystery, strong characters, and a gripping narrative that practically begged for people to have weekly conversations about the mystery and their theories. But despite all that potential, it flew completely under the radar. Why? Because unless you lived in Japan or watched it from less than legal means like me,
Bloody pirates!
you couldn't watch it. Disney Plus acquired the rights and, in true corporate greed fashion, held it hostage to international fans for months.
Really?
Completely cutting us off from the conversation. And by the time it did drop, the window for hype had completely closed. Word of mouth couldn't spread, and community couldn't form. And one of the best thrillers that I've seen in recent years was left to rot in utter obscurity. If the Fragrant Flower Blooms follows the same path, it won't matter how beautiful the animation is or how heartfelt the story is, it's already lost the momentum. This is the hidden danger of licensing chaos. It doesn't just delay anime, it erases it from the cultural conversations before it even begins. So let's really hope it doesn't go this far, because I do think that the manga for Fragrant Flower Blooms does have a bigger fan base, but one can only hope. As if licensing issues weren't bad enough, the delays don't stop there.
Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot. It's serious.
Another growing problem in the anime industry is how unpredictable these schedules are completely killing the hype. A series will drop a stunning first episode or gain traction early on, only to be hit with production halts, unannounced breaks, or month-long gaps in between episodes. And by the time it returns, everyone has completely moved on. And I don't know if it's productions that are trying to get their first episode out as fast as possible so there's not a long lull in between seasons, or what it is, but I would rather wait years and have a full season completely done than experience the massive amount of delays that we've been having in new and popular shows alike like JJK. Because momentum is everything in a market that is oversaturated. Without consistency, even great anime risk being forgotten. Let's take a look at one of the most recent examples, a show that had a bold, fresh premise, strong visuals, and a real breakout potential until it couldn't keep up with itself.
I can't fucking compete! I just can't fucking compete!
And yes, I am talking about Zom 100. Zom 100 had everything. And I'm actually surprised I haven't talked about it on this channel before, besides some shorts, okay? It had everything to be a breakout hit. A killer intro, instantly lovable characters that were so cool and were totally cosplayable, and a fun and self-aware premise that didn't just embrace the industry of anime, it actually highlighted the real problem in which we're talking about in today's video. The increasing demand of fans and studios for more anime is actually leading to the zombie apocalypse. Okay, not literally, but we're basically turning animators into zombies because we just can't chill, guys. Okay? And that's not just comedy. It's an insane commentary that we all just need to talk about more. Zom 100 was smart, stylish, and had a real heart, especially if you're someone like me who just absolutely loves zombie fiction. But despite all of that, the show completely lost its momentum due to a series of delays, schedule inconsistencies, and eventually an indefinite hiatus that took months, but eventually they did finish season 1.
We made it.
In a healthier industry though, this show could have thrived. It could have built a fandom and even landed a season 2 within the last year or two. But in today's climate, even a fantastic anime like this one can fade away. Not because it wasn't good, but because it couldn't survive the system that created it.
Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
And now the chances of us ever getting a season 2 feel desperately and depressingly slim. Now I want to listen to that intro. This will be a song of the dead. This will be a song of the dead. This will be of the dead.
1 hour later.
Dancing, dancing, rolling, rolling down in your my life. Just say, dancing. You just don't get the hype. But this isn't just a problem plaguing new or underrated titles. Even the biggest anime in the world aren't safe.
What?
Take One Punch Man, and it's actually what kind of inspired this video along with the Fragrant Flower Blooms news all happening in 1 week. After years of silence, season 3 is finally on the horizon, and you'd think fans would be celebrating. But instead of excitement, the most recent promotional video left a lot of people feeling uneasy. Why? Because despite being just months away from the first episode airing, the PV didn't show a single frame of animation. No action sequences, no fight previews, just voice lines over still drawings in Blue Lock fashion. And in an industry already struggling with production delays and declining quality, that's setting off alarm bells. Fans aren't just worried about how season 3 will look, they're now rightfully worried that it may get delayed again, or worse, arrive in an unfinished state. When a show with a legacy like One Punch Man can't even confidently show off a teaser, it speaks volumes about how uncertain the production landscape has become. Delays no longer feel like exceptions, but they're starting to feel like the norm. Now, let's talk about one of the most glaring and controversial issues facing anime right now, and honestly what I would consider one of the biggest symptoms of everything we've been talking about. The rise and often the overuse of CGI. While CGI isn't inherently bad, and in some cases it can be a really powerful tool to use, when you use it with intention, the way it's being implemented across the anime industry as of now is starting to raise some serious concerns. At its best, CGI can elevate animation. And although this might be controversial, I like to think of Attack on Titan in the final season. MAPPA ended up using CGI blended with 2D animation to handle massive scale battles that would have been nearly impossible to animate in time to meet their tight deadline. It's not perfect, but it's a smart use of the technology as a supplement and not a shortcut. Keyword here, supplement, okay? But too often now, CGI is just used as a shortcut. It's not a tool to enhance scenes, but to just replace hand-drawn animation altogether. That's where things start to fall apart. Shows like Solo Leveling and the newest anime Devil May Cry, which I actually do really enjoy, lean heavily into CGI for fast-paced fights and creature designs, but in many cases, it creates a jarring disconnect. The weight of the movement, the texture, it just doesn't feel right, and we as fans notice that. The immersion breaks, the spectacle fades, and it ends up being more like a cutscene than an actual part of the story. Even the Elusive Samurai, which we've already talked about for its beautiful animation and interestingly drawn facial expressions, suffers from this exact problem. And scenes that should feel fluid and dynamic, you'll suddenly see horrendous scenes on horses that feel like AI did it, okay? And there's also other anime that I won't watch at all just because I've watched 5 seconds and it's all just CGI, okay? And this is becoming more and more common. And then let's not even talk about Blue Lock, okay? The reason? Studios simply don't have the time, manpower, or money to animate everything traditionally anymore. As demand grows and deadlines shrink, CGI becomes the easiest solution.
Very cool. Cool.
But what does that mean for the future of anime? If this trend continues unchecked, we're looking at a landscape where even the most promising titles are forced to rely on stiff, lifeless animation to meet a schedule. And that's not the future fans or creators deserve, in my opinion. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about an issue that doesn't necessarily fall on the shoulders of the animators or animation studios themselves, but on us, the fans. And that's what I like to call death by algorithm. Even when a show finally drops, binge model algorithms can completely smother the conversation. Platforms like Netflix release everything all at once, and unless the series goes mega viral, the conversation typically dies down within a week. I can't tell you how many times I've seen my TikTok For You page dominated by a series like Oshinoko, Ninja Kamui, or the Blue-Eyed Samurai, only to vanish very shortly after. These aren't bad shows, in fact a lot of them are really good, but in a world driven by instant gratification and short attention spans, even quality can't fight the scroll. And on top of that, it's also forcing us to cut out a lot of stories. Take Solo Leveling. They've cut out so much of the manhwa because little baby fanboys, okay, can't take that he has an emotional moment after he finally fulfills the one thing that he wanted to fulfill, and you guys got mad. He lost his aura, okay? How about you guys are the problem, all right? Anyway, continue. In contrast to the binging, okay? Weekly releases like Jujutsu Kaisen, One Piece, and AOT give fans time to sit each episode, create theories, make memes, and actually build community. That shared experience is, in my opinion, what helped the anime community grow really strongly and really rapidly during the pandemic. But now with binge model becoming the more common and attention spans shortening,
Squirrel.
it's harder than ever for even great anime to make a lasting impact. And the sad truth is, in a world full of content and brand rot, I don't really foresee this going back to how it used to be. Not because we can't, but because most platforms have decided not to let us. Which is sad. So, what's next? Between fan fatigue, platform fragmentation, licensing delays, and the overuse of CGI, anime is slowly losing the connection with fans that made it special. Oversaturation is stretching studios thin, great shows get locked away or delayed, and algorithms kill the hype before it even begins. But the future isn't set. If we want better anime, we need to support quality, speak up, learn to wait, and keep community alive. So what do you think? Is this the end of anime's golden era, or are we just hitting a rough patch? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you like these sort of videos, let me know what other topics you'd like to see me discuss. I had a lot of fun doing this sort of video essay style. And lastly, if you're not subscribed or you're not a member, please consider doing one of the two, and don't forget to like the video. And with that, if you want some underrated anime recommendations, feel free to check out this playlist right here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!